Hey y'all, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming to you with a very exciting announcement video, and this is all about Febregency. Last year, Emma the Bookish Princess came up with a great idea to celebrate Regency era literature, and so Febregency was born. This is a month-long readathon that will go throughout the month of February, where we are just going to focus on reading Regency era classics. A lot of attention is given to Jane Austen. She is the big giant of the period, but Febregency allows us to look at everyone else, and there was a lot going on during this time period that is really exciting. And so this is one of my favorite readathons of the year because this is one of my favorite time periods to read about. So of course, Emma the Bookish Princess is also hosting along with Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space. And this year we have a new host joining us, Tristan from Tristan and the Classics. I will link to everyone's channel down below. Definitely go check them out if you aren't subscribed. The ultimate goal of Febregency is just to read works from this time period. So if you read one book that was written during the Regency period, then you are absolutely participating. But we do always have prompts, and the prompts are the same as they were last year. These are really flexible prompts. One is to read a Regency era poem, and this is what's really exciting. The Regency era spans the later 18th, early 19th century before the Victorian period kicks off. And this was just a golden age of poetry, in my opinion. It is some of my favorite poetry of all time, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I'm so attracted to this time period. And this can be a really easy challenge to get out of the way by reading something very short, like, say, Ozymandias by Percy Shelley. We also have the prompt to read a Regency-era play. This was really exciting to me last year, and it's still exciting to me this year because plays are often a branch of literature that I don't pay very much attention to. And particularly from this time period, this is something that I don't always think about. I don't always think about plays that were written in the late 18th, early 19th century, though that was definitely a major form of entertainment for Regency era people. So I think this prompt is a really great way to find a hidden gem, to find a diamond in the rough. And I'm always excited to see what people are going to put on their TBR for this because I think there are a lot of options. I think we just have to hunt for them, and that's really exciting. Then we have read a work of nonfiction, and this can be a work of nonfiction that was written today about the Regency period, but it can also be a piece of classical nonfiction that was written during the Regency era. And I think this is a really varied prompt. There are a lot of different options here, and you could even take this prompt in both directions and read something that was written today about the Regency period while also reading a work of classical nonfiction. And I think that would be really fun. There was a lot of interesting criticism going on during the Regency period in terms of nonfiction, and there were so many interesting historical events ongoing, such as the Napoleonic Wars, that people at the time were commenting on, that I think the options for reading nonfiction written at the time are very varied and are really exciting. But there have been so many wonderful modern nonfiction books that are focused on the Regency era that have been published in the past few years. And so I'm really, again, excited to see what people put on their TBR for this prompt because I definitely want to pilfer from people. Our last prompt is to read a Regency era work that influenced Jane Austen or was mentioned in Jane Austen. This is one of my favorite prompts because Jane Austen name drops in a lot of her novels and in a lot of her letters. She frequently talks about poetry that she's reading. In her novels, the characters will often make reference to other novels, big things that had been published at the time. And so this prompt can kind of do double duty for you. I know for a fact in Persuasion, they talk about Lord Byron and Sir Walter Scott's poetry. So if you wanted to read their poetry, you've covered the poetry prompt and this prompt. One of my big goals, and it's been a big goal of mine for years now, has been to read all of the Gothic novels that are mentioned in Northanger Abbey, because a lot of them are not very popular. They don't have a lot of name recognition. And so I've always been intrigued by them, and I would really love to get into them. I would really love to find some of these lesser known Gothic novels and try to read some of them. And so that's possibly what I'm going to do for that prompt this year. but there are so many different options. Several characters throughout her novels are big readers. And so there are a lot of different options here and a lot of different ways that I think this prompt could go. Last year, we did not have a group read, but this year we decided that we really wanted to do that. And so our group read this year is going to be Evelina by Frances Burney. And Evelina is an epistolary novel, and Evelina was definitely an influence on Jane Austen, so I think you could definitely count this for that prompt. But it's funny, it's witty, and I think if you really like Jane Austen, you're probably set up to really enjoy Evelina. The epistolary novel was really big at this time, and Evelina is a really great example of that. And I think it reads pretty quickly for being written in the late 18th century. 18th century novels can be difficult for me in terms of language, but I found Evelina when I read it for the first time a couple of years ago. I found it very manageable, and I thought it was very approachable as an 18th century classic. So I do hope that you'll join us for that. If you do decide to join us for that, there will be a Google Meet Zoom discussion of the work on February 25th. I will leave Emma, the Bookish Princess's email down below, so please email her if you want to join us for that. I really hope that you do. I think the novel has a lot to discuss, and it has a lot of interesting social commentary that I think will be really fun to talk about with a group, so I do hope that you join us for the group read. Because Evelina is an epistolary novel, it kind of felt pertinent to us to theme this year around letter writing, which was a big form of communication in the Regency era. And the epistolary genre itself was just so big at this time. So we do have a bonus challenge to write a chatty Regency-style letter to a friend. You could even write it in sort of Regency-style language, which I think would give it a really fun and humorous quality. So that is our bonus challenge. We will also be having reading sprints here on my channel in the first weekend of February. So that first Saturday in February, February 4th, we will be doing reading sprints here on my channel to kind of kick off Feb Regency. I find reading sprints really productive. They have really helped me over the past few months, and I think it will be really beneficial to do some to kick off this readathon and go on and get a success early. Feb Regency was a lot of fun last year, though I was in an incredibly massive slump, and so I didn't read for it or film as much for it as I really wanted to, and so I'm hopeful that this year I can make up for that. I already have some video ideas forming, and I'm already planning my TBR. I do hope that you will join us for Feb Regency. We had a really great time last year. We talked a lot about poetry. We just had a lot of fun, so I do hope that you'll join us this year. And please let me know down below if you already have some ideas for the prompts, if you are already thinking about your TBR. But that's going to be all for me today. I hope you're all having a great week. Happy reading. Goodbye.